Hey everyone, thanks for learning to play games. My name is Lance, and in today's video I'm going to take a look at a brand new game coming to Kickstarter called Zombie Horde. This is a new one from Dark Gate Games. It is a 1 to 5 player game that takes roughly 1 to 2 hours to play per session, as this is a campaign game you're going to be playing over many sessions. And this one is a fully cooperative game where all the players are working together to achieve your ultimate goal, which is to build your research facility and develop a cure that is going to stop the zombie hordes. So in this one, your main features are going to be, or your main goal is to manage and operate your colony. And throughout the campaign, you're going to be upgrading your colony with new generators and new structural pieces that are going to help you make more food and water and bullets and potentially other things that are going to improve your colony as a whole and work your way towards building that research facility. You're also going to have to manage your morale throughout the game, as that is going to have a major impact on your colony at the end or during the colony step. In each one of the rounds, you're going to have to deal with that, and depending upon where it is, you might have to draw event cards that are going to have all kinds of negative repercussions on your colony, including losing colonists, losing supplies, and having other negative effects. You're also going to be sending a number of your survivors out on expeditions, and you're going to do that to gain new raw materials, potentially finding new survivors you'll be able to add to your colony, and all kinds of other things. And there's going to be 2 different types, at least that I have included in this prototype. One of them is going to be the objective-based one, where you're going out trying to collect the different objectives and different resources and bring them back to the colony. And the other one is a tower defense one, where you've already collected the resources and now you got to make it back to the colony, and a zombie horde has come down on your position where you have to defend that and try to eliminate the threat before returning to the colony. So in this video, I'm going to go over the main features of the game and then show you a sample turn to give you a better idea how this one plays to help you decide on whether or not this one you want to back on Kickstarter. If you want to check out a full playthrough video, I'll have a link up in the top corner to that one, where I play through a couple of the different missions. Now again, this is a campaign one, so you're not going to complete this in one sitting. So in that video, I simply just show you the 2 different types of missions that I have in the prototype and show you how the colony works and some of that. As always, if you find my videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we continue to grow and be able to produce this content. If you want to get notified anytime I drop new videos, also give that notification bell a ring, as I'm constantly dropping new videos, including crowdfunding, campaign videos, Kickstarter videos, teaching videos, unboxings, playthroughs, and many other types of videos. And as always, if you have any requests, please post those in the comment section below. I also do want to point out that all the materials you see here are prototype materials and are subject to change, and look a lot better in the final production copy of the game. So let's go ahead and head to the table, and we'll see what this one's all about. So the first thing I want to look at is the colony board itself, as this is one of the most important aspects of the game, and is going to be one of the ways you're going to win the game, is by building up your colony and making it stronger throughout the game. So first off, let's break down what the colony board is going to have. First off, it'll have a number of tokens in there for the survivors that you currently have. And in this demo, you'll start with 12 survivors. From there, then, you're going to have different cards set in here. First off, you're going to have your electrical generator card, or your power card. This is going to be the card that powers all the rest of your structural cards. And some of these cards will require certain fuel items to be able to run them. And each one of these is going to have a level that is going to be color coordinated as well. So level 1 cards are all going to have the green icon at the top, and they're also going to signify what the type of card is. Again, this one is the electrical generator card. And each one of these cards is going to require a certain number of survivors to operate the card and run whatever it is. Next, you're going to have the structural cards, and these are going to be ways that your colony is going to be able to produce both water and food items, along other different resources you're going to need, such as bullets. Again, each one of these cards requires the power generator being operational. And again, they're going to list the number of different survivors that have to be placed in there. And with some of these cards, for example, with this one here, if you have 1 survivor, you're going to produce 5 water. And if you have 2 survivors in there, you'll produce 10 water. And likewise with the rest of these. With the bullet cards, again, they're going to operate the same way, producing bullets during that phase. You're also going to have upgrade cards that throughout the game you're going to gain different resources that will allow you to upgrade these different areas, such as additional structural cards or your generator card. For example, the level 2 generator is the vapor engine, which is going to require 3 metal supply or 3 metals, 3 of the electricals, and 2 plastics to produce the vapor generator. And with this one, it is going to require gas and will replace and just be placed on top of the other card. Once you've completed that, then you'll have access to the other structural cards you can upgrade. And again, each one of these is going to have different requirements on it that will change how the different things are produced. For example, as you can see here with this one now, with this water, it's going to produce 8 water instead of 5 and 16 instead of 10 with 2 survivors in there. As you upgrade and work on your blacksmith, you're also going to have weapon cards that you can build for different weapons that you'll be able to use when going out on your expeditions. So with these, for example, with the shotgun, in order to build this, I would need a wood and a metal. And then once I have, then I'll flip that over and I'll be able to send that out with survivors. And each one of these is going to have a maximum number of bullets that you can equip to it that you'll be able to use during your exploration missions. So from there, moving down, you're also going to have bonus cards that you'll be able to purchase once you have upgraded your electrical generator to level 3. And that will allow you to open up these different areas that you'll be able to purchase these additional cards for. And these are going to provide you with morale boosts and other things. Finally, at the bottom of the card is your morale track, and this is going to track how the morale is in the colony and will have different impacts based on where it is throughout the game. If it is in the first 2 slots, then you're all good, nothing is going on. But if it happens to fall in these later slots, you're going to have to draw and resolve an event card or effect card. And there's going to be, again, 3 levels to these: green, yellow, and red. As you go farther down, they're going to become nastier and nastier, with a lot of these having you losing some sort of resources or potentially even colonists as you or survivors as you dive deeper into, or your morale falls deeper into the track. Finally, at the bottom of the card, or the bottom of the board here, is going to be the survivors you choose to send on expeditions. So during the colony phases you're going to see, you're going to be able to assign the survivors you have to work in the various structural cards and generator card, as well as survivors you're going to be sending on expeditions. Next, I want to go over the different classes you can send out on expeditions. So when you choose to go on an expedition, you're going to select a number of classes to represent the survivors that are going out on those expeditions. You're not representing actual characters, but different assignments that characters have that fit within these classes. Each card is going to list the name of that class on the top. For example, with this one, it is the medic, and it's going to have 2 different attack categories. You're going to have your ranged attacks, which is going to list the number of dice you roll, the range or distance to your target, and the value you need to roll on a die in order to be successful and score a hit. For example, at range 1, if your enemy is 1 space away, you're going to need 4 pluses on those 6 dice to score hits. And if you're at 2 to 3 range, then you're going to need 5 pluses. The next category is the number of dice you're going to roll in melee, and again, the range and number that you have to roll equal to or greater than to score hits. Then your survivor is also going to have different abilities or icons at the bottom here. For example, with the medic, she has climb, which allows her to climb up on structures. She has jump, which allows her to jump over obstacles. And she is granted a reroll, so whenever she rolls dice for attacks, she gets to reroll one of the failed results. At the bottom of the card is going to track the number of actions you have and the actions you've spent. Each survivor is going to have 3 actions, and as you use them, you'll move your cube up on that track. And each survivor is also going to have a reaction. So during the zombie phase, if zombies attack you, you get to do a reaction to try to defeat that zombie horde before it eliminates your survivor. And each one of the survivors have 1 of those. So once they've used the reaction, they won't be able to do another reaction during their turn. Finally, each survivor has 2 areas that can be equipped, so their backpack and their belt, that will be able to hold different items that they can take on their expeditions. And again, there's going to be, I have 5 different classes in this demo, and there may be more throughout the Kickstarter campaign, including the medic. the engineer, the tank, the ranger, and the sniper. Next, I want to take a look at the different enemies you're going to be facing when you go out on expeditions. And in the demo, I only have a small assortment of these, but there will be additional enemy types that are going to be included in the core game, as you're going to see in the Kickstarter campaign. So with these, you're going to have your basic types of zombies that are going to be included, such as in this demo, I have the Horde. And this is going to be a large group of enemies or large group of zombies that are going to be attacking you. And they're going to attack as a group. With them, they each are going to have a couple of requirements to score wounds. Each of them, or each type, is going to have a number of wounds that it has, and a number of hits that must be dealt to it to score a wound. So for example, with the Horde, I need to deal 4 hits in order to deal 1 wound to that Horde, or overall 8 hits to eliminate it. Then each of the different groups also has a movement value, or number of spaces that it can move during its turn. And some will have special abilities that are going to be listed at the bottom of the card. Next, you're going to have mutated enemies, such as the Screamer. And with these, they are going to have, again, their different stats, including the number of hits you must deal to score a wound, their movement value, and any special abilities. For example, the Screamer, it has the climb ability, so it can climb up on buildings without the need of pyramids, as I'm going to cover in a minute. And then again, with these enemies, they are going to have a special ability at the bottom. So with the Screamer, it says that after the spawning phase, I'm going to draw and resolve a Screamer spawn card. So the Screamer actually has its own small deck of cards that you're going to be resolving. And each one of these cards, again, is going to list new enemies that will be placed out in the different spawn points, which I'll cover during the exploration phase. And I'll explain how these different spawn cards work. And there's also going to be a number of different groups, like I said. For example, with the Horde, Hordes cannot climb up on buildings, but when they get next to a building and they have another action, they will spend that to perform or make a pyramid. And this is going to allow other groups of zombies to crawl up on their backs and make it up onto the building. And as a Horde, or as a pyramid, they're going to have increased requirements to deal wounds to them, so that it makes them even harder to defeat. And if the survivors all move off of the building, then the pyramid converts back into a Horde. And again, with the mutated zombies, you're going to have all kinds of different ones for those as well, including the Jumper and the Grunt and the Runner, among other ones. And the final thing I want to go over before moving into the sample turn are the different expeditions you're going to be going on. During that step of the colony phase, you're going to select an expedition that you want to try to achieve or go on, and that is going to show you all the different resources you can potentially gain from that particular expedition, as well as a little bit of a backstory to it. And there's going to be 2 main types of expeditions. You're going to have the search and explore expeditions, where you're going to be going on the expedition to try to pick up these different objective tokens to gain the resources that token provides. You're also going to have fight and resist missions. With these missions, these are more tower defense missions where you already have collected the resource tokens, and you're on your way back to the colony when you're attacked by massive hordes of zombies that you need to fend off for a certain number of turns, or resolving a certain number of spawn cards or other conditions in order to complete those missions. On the back of each one of these cards is going to also show you the setup, including the tiles you're going to be using, any buildings you're going to be placing out there, and where to place all the different tokens, such as these different spawn tokens, objective tokens, and other tokens that'll go out on the board, including oil and cars, and where to place starting zombies and all of that. It's also going to list the exit points that you'll need to reach with your survivors in order to complete the mission and move off and take whichever objectives you've had collected already. With the fight and resist, again, they're going to list the setup instructions, where your survivors will start, as well as any defensive weapons they have. And now these are only used in these missions and cannot be taken back to the colony, but provide you with extra firepower to hopefully stem the Horde and make it out alive. And then with these, they're going to have the requirements as well. With this one, I need to make it through 8 different spawn cards, or resolve 8 spawn cards throughout the rounds in order to complete this mission, as long as I have survivors remaining. And the last thing I want to do is take you through a sample turn explaining how the two different phases in the game work and showing you an example of a combat round or expedition round to show you a little bit how that works as well. All right, so getting into this one, I did already set up the expedition part of this. Normally you're going to handle that a little bit later, but I wanted to have that all ready to go for this example. So first off, you're going to start with the colony, and each round will consist of the colony phase. It's going to have 7 steps that are going to be done in order. Now, with the very first turn or the very first round of the game, that is not going to be the case. You'll skip all the way down to step 7. So I'm going to go ahead and do that one, cover the expedition, and then I'll come back and show you how the rest of that all works. So during this, the final step of the colony phase, you're going to allocate your survivors to the different structures you have and how many survivors you want to go on an expedition. So with my example here, I definitely want to have 1 survivor running the generator. I'm going to have 2 survivors producing water. I'll have 2 survivors producing food. I want to have 2 more producing more food. And I think I will have 1 producing bullets. From there, I have 4 survivors remaining. Those I'm going to send out on the expedition. So from there, now that I have allocated that, then I would choose an expedition that I want to go on, trying to find certain resources if there's certain ones that I need or whatever I am after for that. From there, then I would choose the different classes that I want to use for that expedition based on the number of survivors. So I have 4 survivors that I'm sending out. So I have 4 different classes that I'm going to take. And each one of these I'll place a token on to represent that survivor. As again, you're not playing a particular character, you're going to be playing a class. So from there, then it would show you all the setup instructions. For this example, this is going to be my setup, as I wanted to show a little bit more of what's going on as opposed to the start of the expedition where you're kind of moving around and getting into position, and there's only a couple of different zombie hordes out there or different enemies. So with that, moving into a round in the expedition, you're going to start off with the survivor phase. And during that phase, each of your survivors has 3 actions, and you as a group will decide how to spend these. And you can bounce around. So I could start off with the tank spending an action, and then I could come over and spend a couple with the medic or with the sniper, and then come back to the tank. So it's completely up to you as a group how you want to spend your actions. So moving into this one, let's go ahead and start with a combat action. So I have this horde over here, and I have a couple of survivors that I want to shoot and try to wound that horde. Now, in order to do that, I can group my survivors together and perform an attack, even if they're not in the same spaces. For example, I can make an attack with both of those survivors on this space, and as long as I have line of sight and range, I can also have this survivor target that same space. So in order to determine that, again, I'm going to look at my survivors boards, and each survivor is going to have a number of a ranged attack with a number of range that they can attack. So for example, I have the tank here at range 1 to 2, which this horde is 2 spaces away. He is going to attack, and he needs 4s or better on 5 dice to score hits. Likewise, the engineer is going to get to roll 5 dice, and his maximum range is 2, so he does have range to that as well, and he's going to need 4s in order to score hits. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll send these 2 guys onto that horde, and so I'm going to go and collect their dice. So I'm going to get 10 dice between the 2 of them, and I'll have to roll these separately because each one requires different results. So I'll go ahead and start with the engineer. I'm going to need 4s with the engineer. All right, so he scored 2 hits. All right, and then on the tank, he's going to need 5s. All right, so the tank got 2 as well. With the tank, I get to re-roll one of those results, and I still missed. And then they do have the Cooperate ability. They both have it, so I'm going to get to add 1 additional success for that. Now, with zombie hordes, they have 2 wounds, and each wound requires 4 hits. So I was able to do 5 hits. So the 1 hit is simply going to be wasted as there's not enough for that, and I won't mark that. So no matter what, that's why you want to collaborate and attack together to maximize the hits that you do. And then these 4 will convert to a wound. So this horde has 1 out of 2 wounds that it can take. And that was my first action with these 2. So I could attack again if I wanted to try to eliminate that. I think the next thing I want to do is I'm going to attack with the sniper and my medic on this horde here, as that is really close and I really don't want that to be on there so that it can attack me. So I'm going to go ahead and attack with both of them. The sniper is going to get 3 dice, and he has ranges of 1, 2, and 3 on 3 pluses. So I'm going to need 3s. He did pretty well at 2 hits. And then my medic, she's rolling 6 dice and she needs 4s. Wow. All right. And she did extremely well. And then she does get to reroll 1 die, and it's still a miss. All right. So we almost, we almost were able to take out that whole horde. Unfortunately, those 3 hits are going to be wasted and I will only do 1 wound. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and attack again. So those are my same things. So the sniper still got 2 hits, and my medic not quite as well this time. I do get 1 reroll, and it's still a miss, but I was able to do the 4 wounds that I needed to eliminate that horde. Okay. So from there, that was my second action with each of those. With my medic, I'm going to spend her third action to pick that up. And I'm going to go ahead and attack this group again with these guys. And I think I'm going to throw the sniper in there as well, just to give me a little bit of extra measure. So it's 1, 2, 3 spaces away. And there is that barrel there. So actually, I think with the sniper instead, I'm going to try to shoot this barrel. And those guys are going to hold off. I'm going to see if I can pull this off. So I'm going to get 3 dice, and I need 3 pluses to hit the barrel. If I'm able to do 2 hits on the barrel, it explodes doing 4 damage, or 4 hits to that, everything in there. Ooh, but let's go ahead and say that I pulled it off, just for the heck of it, for the demo. So in that situation, this explodes, hitting everything in its space, and it's going to do 4 hits to that. So this horde has been eliminated, so that sniper did his job. Per se. All right, that is all his actions. So then we still have 2 actions with the engineer and the tank. So I'm going to go ahead and move these 2 up as an action apiece. And then my last action, I am going to go ahead and attack that horde there. So there is a barrel in that space. So that would do 4. Well, I think I'm going to save that for a little bit later. So I'm just going to go ahead and attack that horde now. And I get 2 groups of 5. My engineer is a little bit better at range 1. He only needs 3s. So I'll roll his first. Wow, he got 5 hits. And then my tank needs 4s. And again, did pretty good. And then he gets to roll an extra die over and still missed. And then they do get that 1 bonus for the collaboration. So we did a total of 9 hits, which was very good. Unfortunately, the pyramids are tougher and they need 6 hits to score a wound. So I was able to put 1 wound on here though. And so I'll take it. That's pretty good. And now at this point, my survivors have all used all of their actions. So then it's going to move into the zombie phase. So during the zombie phase, the first thing is you're going to resolve any zombie's movement. So we have this horde here, and its shortest path to get to them is on the building, but it cannot climb up. Again, it's going to convert itself into a horde. Now, if it would have happened to be here instead, it would have actually moved over to use the horde to get up. But since it wasn't, it is going to make its own pyramid, and so its model will be replaced. And that is it for the zombies. So then we're going to have to handle a spawn since there aren't any other zombies to attack. Otherwise, we will resolve that first, and then we're going to resolve a spawn card. And there are 2 different decks, one for each one of the different types of expedition missions. So with these, I'm going to be using the the search and explore deck, and then there's also the one for the tower defense. All right, so with this, with each of these spawn cards, it's going to list the 6 different spawn points. And again, in this example, I'm just using 4. And then it's going to have a number of columns, and this is going to be based on your blacksmith. So right now I have a level 1 blacksmith, so I'm simply going to resolve the green column. But if my blacksmith was level 2, I would have to resolve both the yellow and the green columns, and likewise at level 3. So really, really bad as you work your way through the game. But you're going to have more equipment and things to help you handle the different zombies that are out there. All right, so first off, this one is going to drop a new horde in location 1. Oh no! And that means they're going to attack right away, so I have to handle that. On top of that, I'm also going to have a mutant come out, and that is going to be a screamer. Oh, horrible news. All right, so the screamer is going to come out in location 4, so it's going to be right here. And on top of that, it does have its ability, so after the spawning step, it is going to spawn another card from, or another enemy type from its cards. Now with that, anytime a horde spawns into an area that has a survivor, it attacks right away. So unfortunately, the sniper chose a poor position in this regard to go, and so this horde is going to attack. So what does that mean? So with this, the survivors that are there must defend. And if they're not able to eliminate that enemy, then any survivors in that space are going to be killed. There is no wounds in this game for survivors. They're simply eliminated from the mission. So with that, the sniper is going to spend his defense, and the medic is also going to assist in this, as anybody that has range that has a defense still can spend it to help out. So with her, she's going to get to roll 6 dice, and she is going to need 4s. Uh-oh, so she only got 2. She does get to reroll 1. That's cracked. There it is. So we got a 6 in there. So there's 3 successes. And the sniper at close range, at melee, is going to get 4 dice on 3s. So he didn't do so well at 5. So they were able to wound the horde, but they did not kill it, which means that the sniper is going to be eliminated and that survivor will be killed. So that is going to decrease the number of survivors I have available for that colony, which is a huge loss for that. So you really have to be careful on your expeditions, where your different survivors are and how you use them. All right, so that is all handled. So then the screamer is going to spawn another group in 5. That particular spawn point isn't out in this particular, again, this is just one I set up just for an example. So let's go ahead and say instead that it was placed in 2. So I'll just place that out there. All right, so at that point, then you would continue on with a new round, starting with these survivors and continuing on until either the survivors move off of that location or they're all eliminated. And so with that, let's go ahead and say that our survivors were able to get the objectives that they wanted, or were able to, as you won't necessarily always be able to get all the objectives, and they have left, and now we're ready to resolve that step. So moving back into the colony phase now, there again are the 7 steps that we're going to handle in order. The first one is welcome back. You're going to place the survivors that came back from the expedition into the survivor slot. So let me grab those. So these 3 will end back here. Then you're also going to add any resources you were able to gather from that expedition onto your storage register. From there, then you're going to consume and collect colony resources. So you're going to check the electricity generator, and if it needs any fuel, you must spend that from your supply. So we'll go ahead and say that we did have a wood for that particular requirement. And then you're going to add the resources produced to your register. So with that, I would produce 10 water and 10 food, and I'm also going to gain 4 bullets. So again, I would chart all of that on that spot there. From there, then I also get to build and upgrade structures. So if I had the requirements to upgrade my electrical generator, I could do that. After your generator is upgraded, then you can start upgrading your different structural cards. I could also build new weapons. So if the weapons that the blacksmith can create, if I have the materials for those, I can choose to build those, and then I can use those on later expeditions, assigning them to the different classes that go out there. Then I have to consume resources for survivors. I must consume 1 food and 1 water per survivor. And for every 2 food or water that I cannot spend, I'm going to lose 1 morale on the morale track. Now, if I'm able to feed and give all of my survivors water, then I will gain +2 morale. So I would actually move up 2 spaces on the morale track. Then I'm going to check and resolve the morale. So again, I would look at that, and at this point, let's go ahead and say that that's where I ended. So I would have to draw and resolve a card. So this one is an unexpected and intense explosion rocks the room where the bullets are being assembled, throwing everyone into chaos, shock, and panic. This one has me removing 3 bullets from my supply, as well as a medal if I have it. So in this situation, I produced 4 bullets, and I just lost 3 out of the 4 bullets that I had. Luckily, I didn't find any metal, otherwise I would have lost that as well. And then the final step is assigning the survivors to their tasks and preparing for the next expedition. So again, I would gather up all these survivors and reallocate them to the different spots that I wanted to, and choose a number of us survivors to go back out on another expedition. Well, I hope you found the video helpful in deciding whether or not this is one you want to back on Kickstarter. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please post those in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Or swing by the Kickstarter's comment section and drop any questions you have there as well. I'm sure the creators would love to hear from you and are more than happy to answer any questions you have. Until next time, I'll see you later.